Okay, so we're live on both platforms right now. Hello to everybody that is joining us in the replay, and welcome to you, sir, my good friend Omar Kashif.
What's up? What's up, Malachi, man? How you feel?
I'm good, man. Promoter and curator, and just legendary creative mind out of from the well, not from the DMV. I just found out the other day that you're from Florida. I didn't know you were from Florida this whole time. I had no idea.
Yeah, I was born in Florida, man. Moved here in the third grade.
Okay,
Yeah, been here ever since, man.
gotcha. Okay, cool. So we're gonna get into all of that. Let me just do a little bit of housekeeping stuff here for everybody that's joining on Instagram. We are actually live on YouTube, really on GoGoTix. So I'm posting and pinning at the top here where to go. So basically, just go to gogotix.co. So GOGOTIX .co, and you can choose today's show, and you can watch it there. So you'll be able to actually see Omar and see what's going on. I'm only going to be on Instagram for about 10 minutes or so. So make sure you head over to gogotix.co. So you can actually see the whole interview, because really this is just one side of it. It's just my side of it. So again, if you're on Instagram, go to gogotix.co, click on today's show, and it'll take you right to the YouTube stream. So cool. All right. So can you give me like a 2 to 3 minute sort of history of Omar Kashif and your life in the
Sure.
industry specifically?
Sure, man. So again, I grew up in Southeast DC, but
Well, wait. So you were born in Florida, and how long?
Yeah.
You said you were there till you were 3?
I came here when I was in the third grade.
Oh, third grade.
Yeah.
Okay, and then grew up in the Southeast.
Been here ever since. So we first moved to Northeast of Michigan Avenue, and then 2 years later we moved to Southeast, Big 30. So I grew up on 30th Street Southeast. Went to Dunbar Senior High School, and then from there went to Morgan State. And that's when that's when I officially got into doing events. Before that, I had a going away party in the summer after ninth grade, because I went to live in Georgia for 1 year with my mom.
Okay.
So, and my claim to fame was Trina Boo came to my going away party.
That's a serious claim to fame. Yeah, it was in the 90s, and you were
early 90s. I was psyched, man. So I'm like, man. So that right there got the buzz going for me. Mm-hmm. But in college, my freshman year, second semester, I got the opportunity to throw a party with a few of my homies up there. So we went really, really hard, man. And after I threw my first one, I was hooked, bro. So I'm like, damn, this is it, And at that time, all I really wanted to do was make enough money so that we could start bringing go-go bands to school, Mm-hmm. So we got our money up. We would bring backyard like every first semester. That developed ski trips, all kind of different branded events. And my job was really connecting with people, coming up with some of the concepts and style of events that we did. Then after I left Morgan, came home, and one of my really, really good friends is Solly Williams from OP Tribe.
Vegas, yeah.
Vegas, yeah, man. I would go see them. Definitely just come to and support. And one time, Arvell and Scooby was like, yo, I got this thing going. We got this thing going. I want you to come check it out at Tacoma Station. So one Saturday, I went to go check them out, and band was dope. So the group was called Listen. Mm-hmm. And, because I was around them fresh out of college, it was kind of like I always had all these like really, these marketing concepts and ideas that I felt like Go-Go kind of needed. And I thought that like this would be the perfect group to really get some of these messaging across. So I would talk to Scooby. We would just talk all the time, just about different branding efforts. And I would just say, hey, you got on a sweatsuit, but you play acoustic guitar, and start need to start connecting your style with the way that you sing, with the way that you look. You know, all these things play a part in being an artist. So I was just working with them in terms of building some brand stuff, and then doing events with them as well. And after a while, I realized, hey, you know, one thing about Scooby, he listened. You know, I could see him like developing it. Okay, bet. You know, and he ran with it, man. And his brand just really started to explode. And on top of that, you know, they're a very, very talented group. So this made a lot of sense. And then after working with that for a while, and you know, putting together some other small things, I decided I wanted to start my own group. And Black Alley was, you know, what I thought of. So I came up with the name, the concept, before I even had any band members. And I called E, like, hey, starting a band today. I need some musicians. So,
I'm starting a band today. I love it. Sense of urgency. Something
yeah,
that's missing in go-go for sure. I like that.
yeah. So but I also, but again, it was like watching these bands, and there was always this frustration. Like, why can't bands move past a certain point? You know, there's this cult DC allegiance that we have to bands, but for some reason, it just doesn't seem like it's getting outside the beltway. And I wanted to create something that could have that cult allegiance, but that also had the marketing arm, the other sides of creativity that could have mass appeal.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, you know, really the idea.
Sounds like somebody else, you know, kind of had the
Yeah,
same idea as you at around the same time, right?
yeah, absolutely. That's crazy. I remember I was having rehearsal, and Drew was like, Malachi starting this group called Mumble Sauce, and that you had people either, I don't know, write a letter or explain why they wanted to be in the band. It was something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. He ain't playing games. Like, you know, he kind of flipped the script for me. I'm like, I'm doing all these you know, auditions. I probably auditioned some 50 people,
Yeah.
maybe. And in your case, it was more of a, hey, I'm starting this going, I already know what the avenues are. I already got certain things set up. So, and if you want to be here, then you need to convince me why. You know, I thought that was pretty cool. See, me, I didn't necessarily have the avenues set up just yet. You know, I know what I could do, but
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't had it set up yet. So to me, I know that I was going to have to grow with the group, and yeah, that's what I did. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
So, all right. Well, just real quick to everybody that's watching on Instagram, just a quick reminder, or just look up at the top. We are actually live on gogotix.co. I'm just leaving this up because people have sort of become accustomed to looking at this on Instagram, but we moved to YouTube Live, which you can get to at gogotix.co. So you just go to the homepage, click Omar's episode today, and just click watch, and it'll take you right to the thing, to the page. So if you're on Instagram right now, we're only going to be on Instagram for about 2 more minutes, and the whole feed is moving over. But if you want to see Omar's handsome face, you should come over to YouTube anyway, since all you can see is my ugliness on on Instagram right now. So
Tell Tab you cut it out, man. You see this wild message you put up here.
So I got to put this up on the screen. He's been on fire the last 2 days. So Tabby Renee says, nobody wanted me in their band, so I went my own way. Thanks for nothing, guys. I don't even know who you were at the time, bro.
I've known Tabby for a long time, man. Since about 14, 15.
Really?
We were in the youth program.
I was talking to you then, because I didn't even know who you were.
Nah, him and my man Mike Carter was like a thing, bro. They was already young hip hop heads then, man, killing the game already, man.
Yeah. No, I didn't meet Tabby until we had already put Miracles out.
Oh, word.
Yeah, because I think I met him, like both of our songs were playing on the radio at the same time, and Adimu introduced us, and Tabby was like, I need a band. And so, Mama sort of became his band, like, UCB was Wale's band at the same time, and blah blah blah. We did all that, but anyway, okay, so you started putting together Black Eye. Now, what I remember is, when we were trading band members,
Right.
That that Black Alley originally was more like a listen style band. It was originally a big band. I remember the bass player was like 80 years old, and you had like a more traditional go go, 4 or 5 people front line. You know what I'm saying? So at what point did when did you decide and why did you decide to move to the smaller unit? I'm going to turn Instagram off right now. Anybody that's still looking on Instagram, hit gogotix.co and make sure you go over to YouTube Live, which is where the full interview is. Thanks for checking in, but moving all the way over to YouTube now so I can focus all the way over there. Thanks. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah. So at what point and what just made you decide to go to a smaller,
Right. So really a couple of things. That was really my initial idea.
Okay.
The initial idea was to do it with a star. I knew I wanted a girl in an all guy group for some reason. I just like the aesthetic of that.
Mhm.
And it was just easier to do a traditional style go-go band back then. So the kind of people that were coming to me, I didn't have access to what I really needed. So I kind of just worked with what I had.
Mhm.
And there was I had some really awesome singers. But
Myra and
yeah. Myra, Shantae, Isam Bilal,
Mhm.
a few folks, right?
Mhm.
So, and amazingly dope, man. Vasha, a few folks. So, but the thing was, with a lot of them, they were like really dope singers. And I don't know that they were wanting to do the grind and really like work towards stardom in the way that I wanted to.
Very common situation in our from
Yeah, it's like, it's that DC shit where motherfuckers be super talented. They do it because they can. It's not like they really like, I'm gonna hone in and try to make a way with this particular thing. So collectively, we were really doing some really good stuff, but it wasn't what I wanted. I was unfulfilled by it.
Mhm.
And I just remember at one point, like D, my man, Big D was the lead talker for us. D, Cornbread, Avasha, and Brandon was our front line at one point. And D is a super talented rapper.
Mhm.
Avasha is too. Cornbread talented as well. So now I'm thinking I got like this whole like city high thing that had a possibility of somewhere
Mhm.
between that and some like DC Hood Fuji's kind of thing that could possibly develop, but they wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't coming together. What I realized was it's very difficult to make a group out of artists who never worked together before.
Mhm.
So at least not in that way. They wasn't writing original records and doing that before. So it wasn't working out. And so I just remember I was a little bit depressed because I'm like, damn, man, I guess it ain't bad, but it's not what I ain't getting the game just to do what everybody else is doing.
Yep.
Um, So I'll never forget this. One day, so simultaneously, my little brother Denzel Bussey, his younger brother Nate Bussey, is playing football his freshman year at the University of Illinois. Same time as Vontae Davis, Aurelius Ben, and it's like this whole DC crew that's up here, like about to turn this team around. And so every Friday, we would drive to Illinois, 11 hours to Champaign to go to the game. And so one trip we taken, my man Eric Curry, Easy, the drummer from the original UCB, was
Yep.
with us. And so I was just kind of talking to them like, this ain't it, bro. Like, I gotta figure something out. It's like I'm like part of the show. I just go in the bathroom and just sit and stall like, damn it, I need to figure something out. And I was thinking like maybe I'll just quit. Maybe this I can't make it happen. And then Easy was like, man, oh, you told me what the dream was. And if I'm being honest, I haven't seen you do it the way you originally envisioned it. At
Mhm.
least try the way you thought about it to see if
Mhm.
it ain't work.
Mhm.
I was like, right. So I remember we came home from that trip. Then I just started going on a search. That's just what I do. I get in, find the people, know somebody, going through my network, and end up my play sister Kalita Stokes. She was running a learning center, and I ended up bumping into an old friend of mine, Hakima, who also used to be in the same youth program that me and Tabby were in. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? So I'm telling them about what's going on. And Hakima was telling me that she could sing. I'm like, cool. So I had Hakima come and sing with the band one time. We had a show. And it was cool, but it wasn't what I was looking for. And she was like, you know what? I got somebody. I'm like, everybody say they got somebody. And you ain't got nobody.
Right. That's pretty cool though, that if she came to audition for it and didn't fit, that she still would feel, be cool enough to find somebody else. That's so rare.
Yeah, no, and I greatly appreciate that. And she was, her and Casey were roommates in college and still really good friends. And so she introduced me to Casey. So we had a conversation. I think we met at the mall somewhere. We talked, and I told her what I was trying to do. And I was like, hey, if it got to the point where this music thing was really, really taking off, would you switch your career focus to this? And she's like, if I could pay my bills doing music, hell yeah. I was like, bet. So that's why I hadn't heard her sing. So I invited her to come. We were doing this karaoke thing at one point where right before halftime, anybody in the audience that wanted to come sing with the group could hop on stage. And she hopped up there and she sang Beyonce Flaws and All joint. And I just was like, this little girl with this powerful voice, like, and she had something. I just feel like, with my background and the marketing and things I feel like I could do to, put my spin on it with her natural talent. And then I always had great musicians. So I just feel like it would be a no-brainer. And so I never forget, from that point, that was like October and November. I told her, listen, we're going to start the new year doing something together. So I said, give me some time. So I was just building up the nerve, and I never forget. I called everybody either the day before New Year's Eve or New Year's Eve. Everybody on the front line, like, listen, man, I love y'all. You great, but we ain't doing this no more.
But you're out of here.
Yeah, we gotta change course. And one thing I never forget is why I love D to this day, man. He's like, you know what? I want to punch you in your motherfucking mouth. I know. And I said, you know what, D? You gotta do what you gotta do, man. I said, I gotta do what I gotta do too. Mm-hmm. So, he was like, okay, it better be what you say you're gonna do, nigga. It better be that. I'm like, all right. And I never forget, he came to a show too. Like, ready, ready to fight me, probably, right? But after the show, he was like, you know what, oh, you was right. Mm-hmm. You got something good. I think what you're doing is good. And that's the biggest compliment I ever had, even to this day. I really respected that because that was somebody who had a vested interest at one point. And it got in the way of our friendship. I really respected him. But he came to see. He came to see if I was about what I said I was going to be about. Mm-hmm. And to him, I had reached that, and that's what I wanted to, because he was scrutinizing. You know what I mean? He had a check on his shoulder. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Did you come to this because E told me the other day, Bootsy Vegas, when we were talking, he was talking about you would come with him to, I think it was during the OP Tribe time, and they were, Listen was that's what around when I was playing with him, at least at one point, when Listen was the R&B group, and then there was, then they would get up and do a couple of R&B songs first, and then OP Tribe would play the go-go later. But he said that you were like, well, what does that person do? And what does that person do? And why are they there? And why do you need that person? So it was that like the beginning of you analyzing, like, there's too many people here and we don't really need all of that. Like, and where in the process was that?
Right. So a couple of things. One was, I definitely used to go to rehearsal with him all the time. Mm-hmm. I would go to OP Tribe rehearsals, and I would go to Listen rehearsals. And I was asking, like, what are the functions of these people? Like, how can we, streamline some of this if that needs to be the case, or if not, then you just can't, because you can't get what you're looking for without it. So I would definitely, study and analyze what they were doing. The main reason was when the very first time I got to have Backyard come perform, I would be at school always, promoting what I was doing. I had a group of New York and New Jersey friends, right? And I'm like, I'm telling you, come to this go-go. Come one time, it's gonna change your life. It's gonna change your life, right? So I got them to come through, and they of course love the dance and the girls and all that piece. And then one of my homies was just like, hey man, that go-go shits was amazing, B. But listen, who the fuck is the star up here?
Right.
Like who am I focusing on? Is it the guy with the hitting the thing? Is it the other guy that's tall with a deep voice, or is the guy that rap? So it was like they couldn't decipher, like the natural mind was not deciphering how to even receive the music. So what I realized is people can focus on a star. You know, the Roots got Black Thought. You know what I'm saying? Like people can focus in on one person. It's either you have the lead and then there's background vocals, or it's not really like the front line situation. You don't really see that on a national level. So I want to model the group, even though it's a DC based group. I still want them to have like a national artist appeal. So that's the reason why I wanted to streamline in terms of just finding that star and focusing in on Casey, bringing in stylists, bringing in makeup, and making sure we had professional photography and those kinds of things. Yeah.
So what was did you have a final result in mind? I mean, obviously, final result is a little bit dicey of a subject, but did you have this is what I want to see Black Alley become?
Well, yes and no. I knew that I wanted to create original records. I wanted to tour. Those are the two things I wanted to do, and of course, for it to become as profitable that everybody could take care of their families through what we were doing. So
was your because there's a slight differentiation between Mambo Sauce and Black Alley, which may have been intentional or not, which is, I mean, there's a lot of people that say that the legend is, and I don't know, I've never actually seen anybody say it or heard anybody say it, that Black Alley says we're not a go-go band. Whereas with Mambo Sauce, I literally turned down multiple shows saying we are a go-go band. Like, I'm not going to pretend that we're an R&B band or something. So the venue, I'm trying to change what the stigma around go-go is. So did you have, when you were putting this together, was it like, I want to do this for go-go? Or is it just like, I want to do this and go-go is going to be a part of it?
Yeah, it was more like, I want to do this and go-go going to be a part of it. It really was driven by the musicians. So to them, I'm like, it's really up to you guys. I was confident enough that whatever was decided, then I would just acquiesce the marketing plan or the strategy around that. So Casey, I didn't really want to claim being a go-go band, but the real secret is this: Casey had never played in the go-go band before.
Right.
She ain't know shit about go-go, really. We were teaching her. So I'm like, one thing go-go people will know is when it ain't for real. You know what I mean? So I'm about accentuating the positives and with less focus on, areas of improvement. So it was like, if you let Casey do her thing, the band is going to fill it in. And then the go-go parts, when we get to certain areas, Animal will teach it. So that's really the real reason why. I feel like if we could, it was all about the records. If we can create, hit level go-go records, something that's on the level of like a Work the Walls or a UCB Sexy Lady, then, or even Miracles from Momo. Okay, yeah, now we pushing that. You know what I mean? But we always go-go is everything we did.
Right. Yeah, I think there's a lot of it really irritates me when people try to sort of separate Black Alley from Go-Go to be like, well, they're not a real Go-Go, because they said the same thing about, well, that's not a real Go-Go band. And then I'll post videos of like Danny and Bo Beatty cranking. I'm like, I don't think your band can crank like this, so I don't care what you are talking about. This is Go-Go. Like, and and I just don't really ascribe to that mentality. Like, I think that, Go-Go is, and it's funny. It reminds me of a story. I don't want to go too far, but when I left solo, which was the outbirth or outgrowth of Northeast Groovers. We went from Northeast Groovers, turned into solo, and then I was frustrated with playing cover songs all the time, because that's what solo was straight cover band. At the dawn of the Grown and Sexy movement. And I remember Dig Dug, who's still one of my closest friends to this day from Northeast Groovers, and I used to argue, because at the time he was part of management. I was just a guitar player, but I still, ran my mouth. And he should be like, well, that's not Go-Go. You gotta this, and I'm like, dude, Go-Go is whatever we say it is. Like, you are Dig fucking Dug. Whatever you say Go-Go is, that's what it is. Like, there's no like, omnipotent like deity saying this is what Go-Go is and this is what Go-Go isn't. Like, I just don't ascribe to that thought process.
Yeah, me either. And I think what happened is this is the death of original Go-Go came with the birth of the Grown and Sexy movement.
Yeah, I was talking to Donnell Floyd last week. That's exactly what he said. I said, well, so what happened? He said, Maisha and the Hip Huggers happened. Yep, and I remember it because I say it again.
Maisha and the Hip Huggers, and then Subtle Thoughts.
Yep.
So those two groups kind of dismantled the idea of go-go music in the form that we know it in. Like, for me, growing up, if you go to a go-go show, they're gonna do some cover songs, but what you would hear on the radio were original go-go records. Yep. Like, I don't care what nobody say. I will put Overnight Scenario and Body Snatchers and Work the Walls up against any record, anywhere, at any point in time. It's some of the best music to ever be created. I always thought D. Floyd was the greatest go-go legend to me. Still is.
If you haven't checked out the interview, no, I guess I haven't put it up yet, because I was with the Instagram ones, I have to like re-upload them to to YouTube and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna put it up. But if you didn't catch it, it was really a great interview. And the thing that stood out to me with him, that I was like really sort of I don't know what, I don't want to say proud, because like I'm not like Donnell Floyd is like here and I'm like here, so I don't say I'm but he just was. I was like, well, what do you think? What were the problems? Like, why didn't And he was like, it was mainly was arrogance, and he was like, and it was mainly my arrogance, and so like that for him to admit that was really big to me, and not only that, but it sort of worries me, because it's like, do people have to be, does everybody have to get to be 45 and 50 years old to figure out that this DC chip on our shoulder that we have, this, like we're better than everybody else kind of thing? Like, is that's the thing that's holding it back? Like, like, are we too old, basically? Like, is it, are we not, is the younger generation not going to figure that out until they're too old to actually do anything about it, I guess?
Well, one thing I'll definitely say, I don't think that's true. I think the younger generation always figures out the steps a little bit faster, because they have us to look at to say, okay, I get it. Now this is how I would do it different. But what they are missing, what we were missing, what everybody, to me, except for probably Red Ashes, was missing, was the music business infrastructure that exists. And it's crazy, because now there is a direct artist to consumer relationship via social media in a way that it wasn't before. You really needed labels more. So at this point, though, you still do need some of those services, but you can definitely touch people, a lot more people, a lot faster for a lot less money than what
Yep.
you could back in the day. And I think that youngins that's in the go-go community now, I would just say, one, focus on making the best original records you can make, remakes, whatever it is, whatever it is, set out to make the best original records you can make. Two, understand brand, stand on brand, understanding who you are, your messaging, and your messaging comes through a lot of different, through all the senses, right? So
Every touch point. Yeah.
every touch point, yeah, man. How you look, man. Like right now, I look homeless. I happen to go to the barber shop. You know what I mean? So people looking at me like, "What is?"
We know you fly when you're not under quarantine. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, man. So but I think that they just have to be recognizant. It can't be this I don't give a fuck attitude. Or if it is, then you got to market it like that too. You know what I mean? Because there's also your old dirty bastards of the world.
Right. There's a lane for it, but yeah, it's got to be intentional and not accidental.
Exactly. So you got to know how to use it so you can actually get to your audience. That's the thing they have to learn. So understanding the business behind or the importance behind the marketing and branding of your sound and your style and what you're trying to do, and make it and make original records out of it. So that's going to be the key.
Are there any like bands out, like younger bands or younger artists or whatever in the go-go sphere that you are aware of right now that are like at least doing some parts of it right?
There's buzz, and I would say for me the group that I know is probably I used to really like this group TOB.
Yep.
And we had a lead talker Chris.
Chris. Yep.
Yeah, he just got some kind of star power. I'm like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
Denzel, man, listen, throw that TOB on, dog. Like I want to hear young. So I like them, and New Impressions is probably the name that you'll probably hear right now in terms of
got TJ. TJ is coming up soon. I don't remember the exact date, but he's coming up on this series too. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, definitely. I think they're in a position where there's always like a turning point, right? Where you got people's ear, they're eager to hear what you're going to do with it, and then you just got to move forward. You got to really like capture your moment. So just understand if they got some original crank, this is it's their time to put that out.
Well, so that brings me back to something. So does Black Alley fully self-contained when it comes to writing? Was every song written by the band, or did you have outside writers? Or
nope, not every song. So crazy enough, I had a business partner, Cam Poles, who was still doing running Black Alley, and he wrote the majority of Black Alley's first album. And
prayer and all that stuff.
Yeah, he's always. I mean, he's been a writer for as long as I've known him, but not writing songs. But either way, he was able to do this, and this was just it was just happened to be a blessing. So no, most times, we work with outside writers and outside producers. One thing I used to have a mentor named Monty Wanza. Rest his soul, he passed away, but he managed Biz Marquee.
I remember.
And me and him had done business together for a couple of years, but we had never actually met in person at this point. He was all over doing other stuff, and he was sickly sometimes, and I didn't know that. But we had to end up having a show at the Howard Theater that he had called me to book me for. It was something with the Deltas, and we met. So we met, we talked. He was there for sound check. He just got a chance to just kind of observe everything we were doing, saw the show, and was blown away by it. Then I gave him a CD. He listened to it, and he called me the next day. So he was like, two things. One, I think what you got is dope. Y'all are professional. I love the way you run your ship. I wanna help you. He said, what you guys do on stage is phenomenal. He said, but what I hear on this record, it's not the same energy that I'm getting from that I get from the performance. You got to find a way to capture what y'all do on stage on record. And then after that, we were trying. I was sending him different stuff, and he said, "Oh, here's the problem." He said, "The reason why you're having difficulty making a hit record?" I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Because you ain't never worked with nobody that made a hit record before." I was like, well, god damn. It
Right.
was simple. You know what I mean? So truth is, there's a formula to making a hit record.
Yeah.
You know, everybody not just out here just
Making
trying.
that go along. Yeah.
You know, just throwing shit up against the wall, like, oh, okay, oh, by accident, this happened. Nah, it's people who get paid a hell of a lot of money to make hit records, and they do it time after time after time. They have
Yep.
an understanding of a formula that I didn't have.
Yep.
I'm like, okay. And I remember Raheem had told me about this girl named Typewriter out of Philly. And I really like my man Calvin Pro, like his writing style. And I like Tone P. So Tone P.
Tone P's
From,
on tomorrow. He'll be we'll interview him tomorrow. Yeah.
yeah, that's my young boy there, man. And one thing I love about him was that I knew that him and the Best Kept Secrets were the ones that took and flipped it into hip hop. And I used to always be saying that before that I even heard that, like, whoever can figure out how to turn go-go into hip hop, that rapper will get love in the city. Because other rappers had tried. I would say, like, before Tabby, I hadn't seen, you know, many rappers getting love. Like, yeah, like Black Indian and Nonchalant
and Question Mark Asylum. And
yeah, Section 8 Mob, you know, and these guys, like, they were out there, but it wasn't, they didn't have a hood. You know, the hood wasn't on them. And, you know, with Wale, they had figured it out. And I was like, oh, I've been waiting on this. You know what I'm saying? And so I felt like he would be perfect to, you know, produce and work with. And then I hollered at him about some folks he had worked with on a writing tip, and that's how we got to Pro. And yeah, former chemistry was built there.
So this sort of like segues into what I think is the biggest problem with go-go, which is the lack of songs. And you know, especially in today's time where the currency is content and consistent content, and part of the problem is that, I mean, there's multiple problems. One is that it's incredibly expensive to take a band into the studio and record all the time, so people don't have money to record all the time, and there's not enough buzz happening around it for a label to invest that money. And but how did well, first of all, I mean, it was commend you on doing that. I wish I would have done that. I mean, I did. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I sort of just tried to put writers in the band. That's why I ended up with the crew that I had, because we wrote, everybody wrote together and co-wrote together. So we didn't use any outside writers, but I feel like it was a little all over the place. Like, we didn't really, you know, like, I mean, with Miracles and Welcome to DC, those are pretty, like, you know, they fit in the brand.
Yeah.
Start listening to the whole rest of the album. There's the songs are good, but they don't all fit together. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's sort of what you know, made it a little bit difficult, I think, because, you know, everybody wants to show their thing, and that's the thing that I think is really difficult for go-go, because there's a lot of really highly talented musicians, and when you have highly talented musicians, they want to prove every 5 seconds how talented they are, and that doesn't necessarily translate into that formula of writing a hit song like you were talking about. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I'm I'm curious from sort of a logistical standpoint, how did you work the deal with these writers? And I'm asking for myself, I'm asking for anybody watching, but I'm asking for myself too, because my experience has always been, not always been, but mostly been self-contained. Like, we wrote our own songs, you know what I mean? So how do you engage with those writers? Like, what kind of deals are you working? I mean, you don't have to say the exact amount, but was it like, are you paying them something up front and then, you know, something on the back end? Or are you saying we're doing this on spec and then, you know, we'll have an agreement? Or how are you working that out?
We will pay them something up front and then something on the back end too. So it'll be, hey, this is what they may charge per song if we like the record, and then, you know, we'll figure out some split on the royalty. So that would be it. Like, everybody got to share. That's the first thing. You know, because like you said, it's a lot of mouths to feed when you're in a band. So if they got to come to that particular understanding, and then if we like them enough, then it's like, okay, well, look, let's put together a package at a cheaper rate. So it's like they want to charge maybe $500 per song, but I get that price down to $300 per song, $300 per song if they do 5 songs for, right, something like that. And we'll do it over.
Are you at what point in the process are you paying them? Before they write the song or after they write it?
So we'll put down a deposit in the beginning. Like we'll choose some records that the band is sold on. Like, hey, okay, yeah, this production is tight. The band like the way this particular thing sounds. And all right, cool. So if you want 300 for the record, then we're gonna give you 150 to work on this joint. And then when it's complete, you know, the other 150.
But so you put the deposit down, they write the song, you don't like it, they just keep the deposit and
they keep the deposit. It's not refundable because they gotta do the work.
Right, for sure. Gotcha. Okay. All right. So that I think that's important because I feel like again, what if anything is going to like push go further, it's going to be a huge amount of songs coming out of the go-go community. Go-go bands are not typically songwriters. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So in order that, like, there's a difference between a musician and a songwriter, and I think like there's part of the reason I want to do this series is because there's a whole lot of misinformation about how the industry really works within the go-go community, and I know a lot, but I know enough to know that I really, in the grand scheme of things, don't know shit. So that's what I'm trying to bring on different people, like yourself, like Tone P tomorrow. Like, oh, I'm sorry, Tone P's not tomorrow. Tone P's next week. I got Drew DeCaro, producer, songwriter, guitar player for Miguel and Vic Mensa tomorrow. I'm sorry. Misrepresented that. But that's why I'm bringing these people on to or Donna Floyd or whoever to talk about things that that hopefully people can sort of piece together and figure out, okay, well, we've been sort of looking at this through the wrong lens or whatever. You know what I mean? If you have questions, put them in the chat, or also the number's up on the screen. You can text them to 202-410-4843. And we'll get them that way as well if you have any questions. Oh, actually, we do have one question. Let me do this. What was the time span of creating the band to the first show, between creating Black Alley to your first show?
So if we go from let's go from when Casey joined, because that's the group that people mainly know. Right. So Casey's first show with the group was in March, and she had joined the band, I would say January. So it was New Year's, right after New Year's. So our first rehearsal after New Year's, that's when we started working, and we had our first show in March. Yep.
And did you like, what did you guys play? Was it all cover songs because you didn't write?
Right. Yeah. So at that point, it was cover. So this is what we did. So one, I mean, I don't want to. I believe in throwing people in the fire to a degree, but I also, like, again, taking a look at what her strong points are in the areas of improvement. We started with doing a open mic type situation. And it was something where I knew that the musicians had already played together. They could play for 2 hours straight, grooving. So Casey was coming from the wedding band circuit. So it wasn't a whole lot of interfacing with an audience, like where the focus was her. So I wanted her to start to get to understand that was going to be the main difference. And I needed to ease her into becoming an MC. Like, how are you going to move the crowd? How are you going to command the attention, right? And then, but if you are, just the host between different people coming up on stage, and you do 1 or 2 songs that we know that and then you pass it off to the next person, then I think that was going to be the easiest way. And even that, it was a struggle at first, because it was just trying to get her to wrap her mind around it. But, we just kept working at it.
Well, because I mean, the legend is, and he's on here, Bootsy Vegas, that he worked with Casey on her stage presence and stuff like that. Like, what kind of things be working with her on. And I bring that up because this is important stuff that I think that a lot of go-go bands don't really realize the amount of work that goes into making something like that happen. Something like a Gogotalx or a Black Alley or whatever. Like, it's not just like a bunch of dudes just jumping up on stage and banging on shit. Like, like it takes work. So what kind of stuff was he working on with her?
Oh no, Sali is like a go-go professor. You need to call him when he came to our to the band to help us. It was like they were in boot camp at that point. So he would do stuff like, first of all, understanding the importance of call and response and transitions and just counting to 8.
Yep. Yeah.
Counting
was a big deal.
All the lights off in rehearsal. And that so people could just feel what they're supposed to do as opposed to watching or trying to figure it out into something that was static. He would definitely work with Casey on a call and a response to try to get her, to loosen up, to have fun, to understand what it was all about. And really, he used to ride Animal the hardest.
Oh, really?
Oh my God! I used to have to just try to keep a straight face because I know he was just fucking with him to a degree, but he really wanted to, turn Animal into like the driving force and the making really the heartbeat of the music section and take some ownership of some things. So he would challenge him because Danny, I mean, what Adam could do across a drum set was just damn ridiculous for his age. He came in the band really, really young, like 18 or 19. I had to ask his mom for permission for him to play. And she was not with it at first, And what he could do on the drum set was crazy, but see, he thought he knew what go-go really was, and he really didn't. Yep. And Sally took offense to like, okay. And we used to have some shows, and he would get off stage, and he would wait till Animal was really close. He'd be like, man, you need to fire this motherfucker, man. You need to fire somebody.
Fucking evil.
Yeah, you need to find somebody else, man. Somebody who give a fuck about this shit, because he's fucking terrible, man. God damn. And so it was Animal's life's mission to prove him wrong. Because all his life, he ain't never heard nobody talk about him like that about some drums. It's like nothing he thought he couldn't do on some drums. So
a lot of great drummers that can't play go-go that think it's just an easy thing to do, and it's not at all.
Yeah, man. He used to so when Danny did really good, he would get off the stage like, yeah, what? And then he would be like, you ain't lose me no money today, nigga. All right, go ahead. But he ain't never, ever say, hey, good job. He would just never do that. It was just like, you passed today. Good one time.
Yeah. Well, this just made me think of something when we're talking about go-go drummers. So there's a lot of respect. And I remember very clearly when I was first starting Mambo Sauce, I think before I even had any members or anything, I had a friend from college, and though I went to school in Montana. I went to Morgan for a little while too, but I went to school in Montana, and a guy that I was there had gone to Berkeley prior to that, and he was friends with the guys from this band called Lettuce, and they also have another band called Soul Live. Yeah, and so the drummer for Lettuce and Soul Live is a guy named Adam Deitch, who at the time when I met him, like literally like 2 weeks later, was on the cover of Modern Drummer magazine. He was the drummer for Average White Band. I mean, he's a young dude. He wasn't the original drummer, but he was playing for them at the time and playing for this jazz guitar player. Is one of my favorite guitar players now, named John Schofield. Lettuce, I didn't really know at the time, but they're a big funk band now. And so I met them. Went to the studio in New York at Quad Studios, which is the same place where Tupac got shot and blamed Biggie. And I was in there, and these guys are like super heavyweight musicians, like literally, like he was on the cover of Modern Drummer magazine. Do you know what he talked to me about the whole time?
What?
Stomp Dog. Like he literally was in awe that I played for Northeast Groovers. Like he's the dude. Adam Deitch is like such a big go-go fan. I mean, later you'll see that they brought Smoke and Jungle Boogie on stage with them and stuff.
Oh,
but I'll send you the video if you haven't seen it already. But they played at 930 Club and brought Smoke out. But my question is, there are a lot of musicians and people in the industry. For example, like I talked to my buddy Eric Petty yesterday from used to be at Universal and Cash Money, Young Money, and he's now at TuneCore, their new label. But he talks about there's a lot of people in the industry also that have a love and respect for go-go. Why do you think it hasn't, people in the musicians and people in the music industry know and respect go-go? Why do you think that hasn't translated to the fans?
I mean, I think we touched on it before. Again, I think it's about just having dope original records coupled with dope original branding, and go-go is in a prime spot to do that, right? I used to study just music videos a lot of times. Like I remember when Cash Money first came out, when Juvenile first came out.
Yep.
And his first single was Hum. And I was so enamored. I was like, what is this?
Yep.
I couldn't turn it off. You know what I'm saying? Like the haircuts, they ain't wear no shirts. They had this, these fake gold chains on. But whatever.
I remember that.
Yeah, but I remember that I felt like I was virtually or through my eyes, consuming gumbo for the first time, right? Like here's this authentic thing from a place that I'm not from, and they were able to capture it and present it to me in a way that I respected. I realized I was being put on to something new, and it still had mass appeal for some reason. It was very New Orleans, but it still had mass appeal. But if you go to New Orleans, they have a whole subset of artists,
bounce music.
That they love their bounce music thing, which was an underground subculture for that area. So I think here it's just really about dope original records in a format that's digestible, but with a brand that is unforgettable.
Let me ask you a question, because we already discussed that how it's difficult to to record prolifically with a big band, because it's very expensive, it's difficult logistically, it's difficult creatively, because you got everybody wants to have their opinion and have their verse on the song, so the song's 20 minutes long because you got 6 verses. So being as both of us, that was a big part of the reason why I made Mambo Sauce the smallest band in go-go to that point. I don't know if that was part of your process. I assume it was. But so taking that a step further, and I asked this to Donnell and I asked it to Killer Cow too. They both had 2 different answers, but sort of similar answers. Do you need to have a band to be go-go? If the biggest sticking point and the most difficult thing to get over in order to get to what we need to have to be successful, which is a lot of songs and a lot of recordings, and the band makes it logistically difficult, can you do it without a band?
No, you can't do real go-go without a band. But
interesting,
you can do go-go-esque stuff without a band, and the only reason you can do that is because you've had bands. So it's just like, Jay-Z don't necessarily need live musicians, but at the same time, the producers need those musicians because that's where they're taking in samples from. That's where they're adding, things to. So essentially, you need the ingredients to make the music. So there was
I guess what I'm saying is, if an artist comes out and their sound is like, for example, Jill Scott, Love, A. Marie, One Thing, the Tiffany Haddish just came out. If an artist came out and every one of their songs had, whether it's a bounce beat sound or whether it's a traditional go-go sound or whatever, if an artist came out, but it's a solo artist that has go-go tracks in that I just described, is that go-go or is it not go-go because that's an artist and not a band?
No, it's still go-go.
Okay.
It's still go-go. Yeah. You know, it's different than what we've seen, but you know, we gotta be able to embrace change. And
Mm-hmm.
but then too, what that also says is, um, you know, what is a go-go artist minus an audience or the live piece of this? Because truthfully, go-go is probably more about, and this is what I think the history is. Go-go is more about the musicians than it is the front line traditionally.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about the relationship between the lead talker and the band and the way that the commands can be dealt and how they're given and switching from
See,
set.
I hear that a lot, and I understand that, but I disagree with that. And the reason why is because all of those songs that I just mentioned, if you're from the DMV, the very first second you heard "It's Love," you're like, "That's go-go." And
Yeah.
none of those things that you just described are
Well,
in that song. You know what I'm saying? And none of those songs are in "Crazy in Love." The only thing that's in there is the percussion. So to me, and that was the basis on which I built Marble Sauce, was I want
yeah,
a band that makes real songs that with a structure in the same way, that have a go-go beat under them, because that's
yeah.
go-go is to me. You
Oh,
know,
I think that's absolutely correct. You
gotcha.
know, yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Okay. We have another question here from our man Jerron Ayers. He wants to know: do you think
Uh,
you could manage another band or artist?
Woo, boy. Man, you know,
You still got your hair, bro. So
yeah, yeah. I think my first inclination is I want to say no, no, I wouldn't, because it wasn't until I stepped back a little bit that I could see just how much it takes. I didn't really, I mean, I really committed myself to this. So I had decided that I was willing to go wherever I needed to go to get what I needed. Like when I found the girl Typewriter, um, who was a songwriter out of Philly, I went on a Monday night to a open mic that Adam Blackstone was doing.
yep,
And people who may not know Adam Blackstone, but he's the
it is.
like Jay-Z's MD, like
Everybody's happy.
everybody's MD, any Black award show, any award, their band is up there.
Yep.
So, if you from Philly, you're a musician, you trying to get on, you want Adam Blackstone to have your phone number. He'll put you with, I know a guy named Ben who was the artist out of Philly. White Cat played guitar, and he ended up playing with Jill Scott, all off Adam Blackstone arm. You know what I mean?
I
But
drove I drove Adam Blackstone in a WPGC promotional truck from an event we did to the airport, and I showed him "Damn Joe" by Mambo Sauce, and he was severely underimpressed. I was crushed. I just knew he was going to be like, "This is the best shit I've ever heard." He was like,
yeah,
"Yeah, cool." I was like, "Man, fuck."
you know
I
what?
was,
Fuck you, Adam.
I was crushed. No. Anyway, my bad. Go ahead.
So I went out there just to go to the open mic because I wanted to get Black Alley onto this open mic. Now, mind you, there is no money involved.
Really join or whatever, or is it?
It wasn't Black Lily. No, it
Oh,
was.
okay.
I forget what it was called, but it was something he would do whenever he wasn't on tour. Come
Mhm.
home, So I go. I end up finding out about it, man. My homegirl Trish Perkins, man. Shout out to her. And I go up, and Bilal hop on stage, rock out. Just a lot of artists I've seen on TV before, and different musicians I've seen, and the place was packed. And I just remember the guy hosting it said something like, "Oh, shout out to Typewriter." And mind you, I had heard that name 2 years ago.
Mhm.
Raheem told me I need to find this chick. So I was like, so I scoured the whole joint until I found this lady, man. And
Mhm.
I said, "Listen, I don't mean to sound weird, but I've been looking for you for 2 years."
What song did she write? This song, a Black Alley song? Did she
She
ever?
wrote,
What she write?
yeah, she wrote a joint, "Complicated."
Yep, I know. I definitely know that song. What else?
Yeah, yeah, she wrote "Complicated." She wrote what's the name of this record?
You getting y'all getting a free a show, free
Yeah,
live concert right here, straight from Omar Kashif.
Yeah, forgive me, man. But Complicated was my favorite one she did, and she did 2 others, and the titles escape me right now, even though I'm singing them in my mind. But yeah, and I told her I was looking for her. She was super cool. I end up we struck a deal for the for 3 joints if we liked them, and we went from there. But that's what you got to do. I didn't know she was going to be there that night. I was going to talk to Adam Blackstone just to see if I could holler at him about getting the band on the joint. And this is a free joint, but I knew who would be there. I know who he is. Right. You know what I mean? So it's like it was about positioning.
Yep.
So that's the kind of stuff you got to do on a Monday night. Drive 2 hours up the street in hopes that you can have a 10-minute conversation. And he was like, "Okay, man, that's cool. All of my people. All right, bet. Let's do it in January. Take my email."
Yeah, right.
I'm glad it worked out that way. And I drove 2 hours home. And it was all 10-minute conversation. Like, that's the kind of shit. If you ain't willing to do that, don't do it. You know?
Absolutely.
I hire stylists. Sometimes maybe somebody couldn't make somebody needed to get done. But I've started a relationship. I drive to Baltimore to pick up some clothes. I go back to Virginia. I spend my whole day, shopping, doing whatever, you doing what you got to do.
Yep. Been right there with you. You know it. It. So, okay. So the question is, would you ever manage an artist again? So that leads us to the conclusion that you're not managing anymore. So, we're a little bit over time now, which is okay. But what are you working on now? What's next?
Cool. So since I transitioned from artist management, man, crazy enough, I ended up having to sit down with my good man Baki Thomas.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Baki said, "What up? Let me tell you what's up." And it so happened, Baki is from Tabby's camp. Shout out to you again, Tabby Bonet. You've been, inadvertently saving my ass for a long time. Love you, brother.
He's run all the time too. So.
Me and Baki met in 2010 or 2011 at a bar. I'm just sitting there. The bartender's trying to get, us to drink these drinks. And I'm like, yeah, I had one that's dope. He's like, yeah, no, let me just go and get a Jameson neat. Okay, cool. So we started talking, and
I thought you were gonna say you thought he was a security guard and he was about to put you out.
I know he tall as hell, nah. But ended up happening is we just said, yo, what you do? So I was like, I got this band, I'm trying to get it popping or whatever. So the group is called Black Alley. He's like, what the fuck? You think I live under a rock? I know who the fuck Black Alley is. I'm like, oh shit, okay, cool. I was like, and I just so happened to say, we need to take the next step. You know what I mean? Working on original music. I'm trying to figure out videos, but that shit's expensive. So I see him kind of smirk. I'm like, yeah. So he's like, well, I might can help you with that. I'm like, what you do? And he's like, I'm the director of the Cool Kids. I'm like, yeah? Cool Kids Forever Films? Tabby shit? Mm-hmm. Now, mind you, I love Tabby music. My favorite shit is Tabby music videos. I feel like these are some groundbreaking, colorful, artistic pieces of work. And I'm like, yeah, that shit is at least $20,000. I can't afford that, but this shit is dope coming from where we come from. I'm always very, very proud of it. And when he told me that, I'm like, damn, bro. Like I've been waiting to call Tabby when I had like my first 20K. Like, okay, Tabby, go ahead and do shit. Take this shit to the next level.
Right.
But what he said was, listen, man, Black Alley is dope. And he said, let's not let money be the reason why we're gonna do something great. And that was the first time I ever even heard no shit like that.
I wish you would have told me that. The shit out of my ass. Welcome to DC, you motherfucker.
You got more money than that. Shut up. So anyway. But no, so he ended up working with me, and we shot 2 music videos for the price of one. And one of those music videos got onto VH1 Soul, and it was in rotation. Then MTV shouted out the other. And I knew right then and there I wanted to establish. Huh?
Was this
Bad Girl with the MTV, and Artist Prayer was on VH1 Soul in rotation. So I knew that I wanted to do exactly what Tabby was doing in terms of, to me, when I find something that's really, really good and there's a chemistry, it can only get better with time. So I want to make sure we always work with the Cool Kids, because then our music videos can progress as the music
together.
Yeah. So, and that's what we did for a really long time. So either way, after the Black Alley thing, we met, and he was like, "Listen, oh, Black Alley's amazing." He said, "But you put them together. You handpicked these people. So to me, you are a talent." He's like, "You're a manager, but you need a manager." And he was like, "If there's anything you desire to do outside of that group, I want to be in the Omar business."
Okay.
And I was like, damn, at that time, I was going through so much craziness. I didn't even want to be in the Omar business, and I'm Omar. So I'm like, fuck. So, but I thought about it. I just started looking through my phone, and I saw all these concepts and ideas I had that I knew I would never get the chance to do because I ain't had time for that shit.
Right.
But now I was having the time. So we end up, coming together, coming to an agreement, and I started doing this event called the Speakeasy.
Yep.
And at this little warehouse spot in DC, and lo and behold, the young lady who had the spot ended up having a falling out with the landlord. I got the landlord's number. I called her, and I'm like, "Listen, we had paid for our next installment, but the person ain't here anymore. I was just trying to see if I could really make sure we had our next event." But we talked even further, and I'm like, "Listen, like, I would love to take this on." So she said she wasn't sure. We talked a little while, and come to find out, I told her I went to Morgan State, and she's like, "Hold on, you went to Morgan?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She's like, "I went to Morgan State." And next thing you know, she said, "Let's meet next week." So we sat down, we talked, and a year and a half ago, I signed a 10-year lease for a venue in Ivy City on the same block that Dream and Love used to be on, which is now City Winery. And I'm going to turn it into a bar and event space. It's going to be called Berry Hall, named for the most awesome Marion Berry, and also a nod to Berry Farm, since I'm from Southeast, of course. Yeah, so we're going.
You have a big chair as your logo.
I just, what? That's why I talk to you, Malachi. That's the reason why I asked the phone when you call, man. That's the reason.
There you go. I want my royalties, guys.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? It just reminded me when you were talking about the Baki thing. What you said to him when he said Black Alley. I was you brought me on as an agent for a while, and I have a form on my website for people to fill out when they want to book a band, and he was booking Black Alley for Six from Six Shooter from Cool Kids. Also the director for his wedding. So the last question on the form says, "How did you hear about this artist?" And Baki's answer was, "I'm black and I'm from DC." Man, I bust out laughing, man. That's just funny. He's a funny man. I like that guy a lot. Cool, man. Well, so when do you have any idea when you're going to open? Or I mean, obviously things are a little dicey now, but where were you planning to open before the world fell apart?
Right. So before the world fell apart, I had just gotten my official architectural drawings, and had gotten a general contractor came through and gave us a price for what it would cost for the build out, and had one meeting with one investor. We still actually looking for another, but we were right there, and it was like, okay, listen, we want to try to move this thing within a 3 or 4 month period, and we start working on these permits. And then the next weekend was like, okay, nobody does nothing. City shut down. Go in the house, and we're like, what? So, it kind of really halted.
So here's my biggest question: when you open, are you going to have go-go bands?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There
So I mean, that's to me, there's a responsibility there to do that. That'll be one of the things that we must have, because this is going to be a celebration of DC culture in a lot of ways. And the more the city changes, the more gentrified it becomes, actually, the more special DC's culture, original culture becomes. So we want to have a home where I get to program and create with my team and bring forth some cutting edge, cool events and stuff for people to patronize and experience.
That's what's up. Real quick, can everybody that's watching please just click the subscribe button below? I'm sorry to be like the thirsty YouTube guy, but I need a certain amount of subscribers to claim the name youtube.com/GOGOTIX or /GetGogoTix or whatever it ends up being. And it's like so inconvenient to have to do all these workarounds because I don't want to say, hey, follow me at youtube.com/gobbledygook. So I only needed a few more subscribers. So if you could please just subscribe right now, or if you're watching the replay, whatever, please subscribe. Again, I'm doing these interviews Tuesday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. All of them are going to be about how we push the culture of go-go forward. How we take advantage of this time where everybody's in the, you can't play any shows. So figure out how to make some music. And I'm trying to bring on people that are, that either are from the go-go culture or have an affinity for the go-go culture and are involved in the larger music industry, so that it can, get some of the right information out about how the rest of the music industry works, which is not the same as the way the go-go industry works. So, but there's nobody really talking directly to the go-go community about, hey, this is, if we changed A, B, C, and D, we could get a lot further. And that's always been my passion. I know it's been your passion, and I really appreciate, you coming on today to talk to us about it. And it's always love, my friend. I appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
Always, brother. Appreciate you, man.
All right, yeah, we'll talk soon. All right, bro.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all for joining.
Appreciate it.
Hey.